A deal on Facebook Marketplace that I couldn't pass up, so picked them up, and we got here 2 new mini bike projects. Which is off. Let's see if she'll run. Okay, well that's a good start to the video. Good? 3, 2, 1, go! Motherfucker! Ah, you bitch! What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So before we get into today's video, working on the 2 new mini bike projects I just picked up, I wanted to talk a little bit on not actually posting a video last week's Friday video. So almost been doing YouTube for a year now, and that was the one Friday I missed. So I'm pretty sad, but it was kind of just due to Hurricane Milton coming in about 2 hours away from me. So we kind of just had to bunker down, prep the house, and get a lot of the toys all lifted up just in case the storm surge was actually as bad as they thought. So you might notice I got the NA Miata here up on some wheels and tires, and I still got a mini bike up on the table. I even had the carbon mini bike that's over here up there as well, and then just all the ATVs, kind of just prepped everything. And so far we came out pretty much unscathed. For the most part, we kind of were out of power for a few days, and we're currently still out of internet, so we're going to see about that when I actually go to upload this video. But finally, back to work in the garage here, and a couple days ago, I ended up finding a deal on Facebook Marketplace that I couldn't pass up, so picked them up, and we got here 2 new mini bike projects, and we'll do a little bit of a cinematic to show you guys them. So you guys might be able to tell, we got here a Baja Warrior mini bike, basically the same frame as the last 2 mini bikes that I just picked up to flip, and for the most part it's all there. We even got the tank and headlight and the stock engine as well, so everything seems to be pretty much stock for the most part. And then here we got a small little mini bike, which is actually a Real Tree RT100, which is mainly why I bought the 2 mini bikes. I've always been wanting one of these little small mini bikes to swap in a bigger motor and make it a little bit more fun, which is kind of my plans with actually this thing and actually keeping it in the future. And then we'll probably just end up getting this thing running and driving and either sell it. And my pops is actually possibly interested in looking at this thing once I actually get it running. So that's the goal in today's video, actually getting to work on both these toys. I was told both of them don't run or drive right now, they just both turn over, so that's kind of a good sign. And my little head with small engines, I know once they turn over, there's a good chance they can run as long as they don't have a hole through the block or knocking really bad. So I think in today's video we can get both of these running and possibly drive them, and I would at least like to do get one running and driving today's video, so that's kind of the goal. So I really just want to start off with possibly this little one here, since this one seems to be pretty much all there for the most part. It only seems to be missing a pull start, a seat, and the whole brake assembly. So it doesn't seem like it's missing much, and it doesn't seem like it got really used and abused too much like this Baja Warrior over here. So I think I can just spray some starting fluid in there and try and crank her over. Luckily the gas tank's nice and clean, so we ain't got to worry about cleaning that out or dealing with any of the carb issues. Hopefully, as long as she's got spark, we should be good to go, and then we could possibly drive that thing around. And then this thing is definitely the more bigger project. Definitely seems that it's got used and abused for a while, possibly sitting outside for a good bit. So I noticed that the valve cover bolts are even missing, so the valve cover's been leaking for a good bit. You can see how dirty the air filter and rusty the carb is, and the pull start's even just zip tied on there, so it's just kind of floating there, and whenever you pull it, kind of shoots all over the place. Opening up the gas tank, as you can tell by the rust and the big old hole from this little level sensor being knocked out. You might be able to see in there. Nah, you won't be able to see, but It is bright orange in there, and then by the outside of this cap, this tank is shot for the most part. So definitely gonna need to either flush that out or replace it. And I think I have a couple on the shelf over there. And the dude thought this thing needed a clutch, since this clutch is looking pretty rusty and beat for the most part. I think it's just this chain. It's got a bunch of little hard spots in it, and just seems like it's seen better days at this point. So I even have one of these whole assemblies that's basically brand new for like this dual gear reduction chain setup, which I might even try to swap on there as long as this clutch comes off there smoothly. And kind of just YouTube fashion, I kind of just prepped for all this since I seen how dirty the gas tank was. I didn't really want to mess with actually cleaning out the whole carb and dealing with all that. So 10-15 bucks, I ended up just buying a whole new carb kit. So we got a brand new carb in there, new fuel line, spark plug, filter, gaskets, all that, so we can get that thing all refreshed. Then I even picked up some new chain as well, so should be good to go on that one. For the most part, should have all the parts. And then this one should be pretty straightforward as long as actually has spark and fuel to the carb. We should be good to go. So I'm gonna start getting to work on this one, see what I can do with this. I think I'm gonna put a drill on the little crank here and just see if it's got spark from the coil to the spark plug real quick. And if it does, then sweet. If not, probably not gonna mess with it too much, since I don't really plan on actually keeping that motor on there. So I don't really want to put any money and a bunch of time and effort into actually getting this thing to run. If I really wanted to do that, I have another one of those motors on the micro go-kart over there. I could just swap on, but not really looking to do that. I want to do something a little bit better with this thing and make it a little bit more kind of my style, and with all the 6 horsepower around here. So that's kind of the thing. We'll talk about that later in the future, but let's see if this thing's got spark, and if not, we'll get to work on the Baja Warrior. So I just checked for spark on this thing. It's got spark from the ignition coil to the spark plug, so as long as the spark plug's kind of decent, this thing should be good. So now I'm actually gonna try and see if this thing will run. I got this thing up on a little bit of kind of a ghetto stand here, and I got the drill here. I'm gonna see if I can try to start with the drill. Worst case, I can pull the pull start off the micro go-kart engine and just slap it on here and see if we can just kind of pull start from there. But seems like it's got some fresh fluid in it. That looks good, and as long as the carb is pretty decent, I got some starting fluid here if we need to. I want to see if I can get this thing to run and possibly actually idle, if anything, and then maybe we can take it for a little bit of riff. So I'm going to set you guys up on the tripod, and let's see if this thing will run. Alright, finally moment of truth. Got the kill switch kicked off. And I'm just going to try and start it as is. Let me pop this air box off real quick. Okay, let's see where the choke's at. Okay, so that's open, that's closed. So let's start with closed. I'm just gonna try it as is. Okay. It might be just spinning a little too slow with the drill, so I might have to actually get the pull start going, but let's try with a little starting fluid. Okay, she's fine. Alright, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get the pull start off that engine over there, swap it on there real quick. It's like 3 bolts, and it might be a little bit better than just using the drill. I just got the pull start pulled off the micro go-kart engine and slapped up on this thing. 2 of the bolts are tight. This 3rd one seems to be stripped, so should be alright for now. I just try it a few times. So moment of truth, kill switch is off. Give it a little bit of throttle if this actually works. I have no clue really. Okay, nothing. Stand here a little bit. Let's try it with a little bit. Start fluid. See if she runs. Oh, that's a good sign. Oh, she starts on starting fluid. It runs. either way too tight or that clutch is stuck. But it's stage free here. But it's got this weird like hard spot, like right here. It's like a weird kind of hard spot. I guess could always just try and put it on the ground and see what happens. Possibly take her for a little rip up and down the block, see how it feels. But hey, she runs, so it's a good start. At least we know we have a running engine. I didn't even check the oil in this thing. Nice. So I am stoked that this little mini bike ran with barely anything getting done to it. Slapped a new pull start on it, a little bit of starting fluid in the carb, and it started right up and ran pretty much perfectly. Definitely has little issues with the throttle. It seems like the linkage has been messed with before, so just needs a little bit of messing around with, maybe a new spring on there to actually get it returned all the way back to idle. But definitely seems like a good candidate, at least just for like a simple running and driving machine. But I do want to do a little bit of my own little taste with this thing later on, but I might try and ride it. I just want to see if that clutch is actually stuck on there, since this thing doesn't have any brakes, and definitely put a spring on the throttle. But now that we know this thing runs, I really want to see if this Baja Warrior will actually run. We already know that the gas tank is pretty much shot, so I'm gonna guess that the inside of the carb is shot as well. So I'm just gonna soak the air filter with a bunch of starting fluid, and if we can hear this thing putt or fire for just a few seconds, then I basically already know I made my money back just in the motor. So pretty happy about that. So let's get you guys set back up and see if this thing will fire, and if so, that would make it a good night. And right now we could basically know we can just swap the new gas tank on there and new carb and basically good to go, and possibly drive this thing around a little bit. All right, we only got a little bit of starting fluid left, so we got to make this count. I'm just gonna soak the hell out of it. And that should be good to go. Wait the choke closed. Kill switch is off. Let's see if she'll run. Okay, well that's a good start to the video. This is why you jack up your toys like I did with that one, because they can easily take off on you. She ran for a good minute. Huh. I might need to jack this thing up and actually see if it'll run on its own without doing anything to it. That'd be sweet. But I did soak the air filter a good bit with starting fluid, so could be the reason why, but you never know. Now that we finally got it up on some wood and got the rear wheel floating, let's try this again. I'm just gonna soak it a little bit more. I don't want to do too much since we already just did. Kill switch is off. I gotta remember that it's there. Should have just killed it when I started taking off. Alright. Definitely need some messing with the throttle, because that was just straight full throttle. But hey, she runs. Pretty happy about that. Definitely gonna need a little messing with the carb and probably a new gas tank on there, just cause get her fixed up, getting right, cause I'm probably gonna sell this thing for the most part, cause I don't want it. I don't want to keep this thing, but I'll work on it and get it fixed up, cause got it for a deal. But so I guess it's time to just get to work. I'm gonna dig out a gas tank on one of the shelves over there and clean it out if I need to, and get the new carb unboxed, get everything pretty much all set up, and start yanking all this old stuff off of there. So we just finished up everything I wanted to do to the engine on the Baja Warrior here. So it might have been kind of hard to tell what it actually did to this thing, but we ended up getting the old air box off of there, the old crusty one that even has a big old crack right here. Didn't even notice till I pulled it off. Got that off of there, and then I got the old gas tank and carb. I got them sitting over there for now. I'll probably drain them later, but got those all off of there, kind of cleared up a little bit of space in here, and then we started working on actually mounting up the valve cover. So you see I got a new bolt put in there, and then I actually tightened up all the rest because they were all loose, and one was even almost falling out. And then it might be hard to see down there, got a new fresh spark plug slapped into her. And then I ended up starting to mount up the throttle cable too. I routed it the same way I do on all the other toys I got around here, kind of just going straight to the governor with a spring going to the front, so everything works, and we got good throttle response, and it actually brings it back perfectly, so we're good to go there. Got the brand new carb slapped up on there, and then I got a used gas tank I had sitting on the shelf over there, nice and clean on the inside, so it should be good to go. And then we got a brand new fuel line and brand new pet cog in this thing as well. And then I found a little air filter just to kind of replace this crusty one over here, just to make it look a little bit nicer as well. So this thing should be pretty much all ready to go. Basically slap some gas in this thing and it should start up and hopefully run on its own. But before we do that, I'm gonna kind of tease you guys a little bit. I'm actually gonna get to work on the whole clutch setup, since it kind of wanted to take off on itself in that first video and I actually got it running. So don't want that to happen again, especially when I'm trying to tune this all. So I want to mess around with the clutch a little bit, see what I can do, maybe just get a new chain slapped up on it. But I would really like to just replace this whole thing like I might have said earlier today. So I dug one of those out real quick. So you see this one looks way better, way nicer, and actually has a nice metal bushing on there. So hopefully I can get that swapped on there, as long as that clutch will come off the shaft easily. Hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers. And I might even need to replace that clutch if it is shot, and I have a couple extras sitting on the shelf over there, so we should be good to go. I want to get that all slapped together, so I'm gonna save boring you guys watching me work on this thing a little bit more, and I'll catch up to you guys once I get this all knocked out. So I just finished up getting a new chain slapped up on the kind of whole dual gear setup. I tried to pull off the clutch here, but this thing is just seized onto the engine, so later on I'll have to like get a puller or something so we can get that pulled off there and basically replace almost all of this there. But that should at least work for now. Clutch doesn't seem seized, so it just kind of needs to break some of that rust off, and then I think it should be good to go for a little bit, a couple rips here and there. Other than that, ended up just cleaning up the work area a little bit, flipping this thing around and getting it propped up on some blocks. Got some gas tossed into it, checked out the oil, got some oil in it, and she is officially ready to see if we can try and get this thing to run. I'm gonna have to mess with the carb a little bit to actually get this thing to idle and maybe actually rev up if we need to. But I want to finally hear this thing run, so let's get you guys set up on a tripod and let's hear this baby fire up for the first time and actually run on its own, hopefully. Finally time to see if this thing will run. I haven't even opened the fuel valve yet to actually let fuel in there, so kill switch off. Get that fuel valve on, get some fuel in there. Make sure it's actually getting in there, because I didn't put much in it. Yep, should be good. Alright, for the moment of truth, let me grab my two little tools right here so I can adjust the carb if I need to. Let me pull this little lid off. That should work. Cool. Alright, let's see what happens. I can't believe that thing just started right up, no problem. Let me turn the idle up a little bit, but I can get to it. Can't even see it. Holy cow. That's gonna be a fun time. Let me just turn it up just a hair. And let's see. Alright, so I think she might need just a little bit of fuel in there. The screw is almost all the way out for the fuel ratio. So I'm just gonna turn it in like turn and a half, because it runs good on choke. It just, whenever I hit the choke open, it makes it not really run. Oh yeah, she likes that a lot better. That was me. I was just putting just a hair bit of fuel in it, just a little bit more, because I can tell it did not like being full throttled. You can kind of just hear it, so put a little fuel in it, turn the idle up just a hair bit more. thing's just blowing stuff out everywhere. Let's see, runs good. Sounds good too. Okay, I might have gave it a little too much fuel, but hell yeah, this thing runs. So I can basically just slap the seat back on it and we can take this thing for a rip tomorrow because it is pitch black outside. But this thing's basically ready to go. And I think we'll rip around the small mini bike too, just because why not? I just gotta see how fast it actually goes and maybe just put a spring on the throttle so it doesn't get stuck at full throttle or something. But hell yeah, I gotta steal on these things. So it's the next day and it's finally time to take both of these mini bikes for their first test rip and actually see how they do. I did do a little bit of work on both of them today just to kind of get them all knocked out and finished up 100%. The Baja Warrior here, I did want to work on a little bit, but the parts I wanted to install, the headlight and the tank here, just seemed like they need a little bit more work than I wanted to. So this headlight seems like it's got to get taken apart because the headlight is kind of just like round and round inside of there. So you got to split that apart to actually get that to reset. And then the tank here, I actually wanted to bolt up, but this thing just seems to be some sort of skin. And it's got 2 bolt holes on the top of the frame there. So I think I'm missing some sort of bracket to actually get that thing bolted on. But that's just really aesthetics, nothing really to make it run and drive. So this thing is basically all good to go from what we did last night with the new tank and carb. And then we might just need to tune it up a little bit more just to actually get the drivability down. Aired up the tires, so she is finally 100% ready to rip. And then I start working on the smaller mini bike here a little bit. Just on the throttle setup, since before it had a spring right here where this little metal rod is. So I replaced it with a metal rod, make it all solid. And then using that spring to actually bring it all the way back to idle. So whenever you give it throttle and pull it back, it goes back to idle. So using the thumb throttle up here, we got this all working nicely. And she is nice and short too, so should be good to go. And just starting this thing up and revving it out a few times, just make sure I got full throttle. This thing sounds like a little monster, so I'm kind of curious on how this thing's actually gonna rip. I've never drove one of these small mini bikes with a 3 horsepower motor, so I might kind of change my mind. So we're gonna start off with actually ripping the small mini bike first. We gotta just take it easy since that thing does not have any brakes. And then we'll move on to the Baja Warrior. We can actually rip this thing around since it's got some good brakes and just feel her out, get her tuned up and see how these things do. Maybe do a top speed run on both of these and then kind of go for there. So enough jibber jabber. Let's get the head cam strapped up and take these things for a rip. All right, so we got the little mini bike pulled out of the garage and finally ready to rip her. Definitely doesn't have a seat, so it's not going to be very comfortable, so I'm not really going to drive it too much, but I think I'm just going to do a couple rips up and down the block. Nothing too crazy. Maybe a top speed run if the traffic stays pretty clear in the neighborhood, but let's see if this thing will actually start up on its first run. Jesus. All right, well, it's a good little motor though. I'll give her that. Probably let it warm up for like a minute or so, and then we'll go take her for a little rip. And let's just send it on that. I like how small this thing just sit on it. Nice. Definitely need to fix that foot peg. That thing's bent. Oh, she does not like to run now. That's weird. Oh, there she goes. Alright, seems to be good now. No brakes is a little sketchy, but woo! This thing rips. Okay. Cruises real good too. Not bad. Hell yeah. We're basically free. I'm tight. Alright. Gotta use the foot brake. Damn, this thing kinda rips. Holy shit. I might have to leave this motor on here for a little bit. Just like get this thing all built up first and then swap the motor later. But I think it's ripped. Alright, back to the foot brake. Swing around. Alright, I'll do a little top speed run. We'll see if we have enough space for it. We got 0 miles per hour. There in my pocket. brakes because I'm gonna be going through shoes ASAP. Not a bad little ripper, that's for sure. Get her back in the garage. Let's do a burnout. Hell yeah. Oh, I don't think she liked that. She's good. Hell yeah. She's a good little ripper. Hell yeah. I just, a little sketch with no brakes on it, but let's see what the top speed was. I didn't even check. 29.3. Okay, that's not too bad. For a little 3 horsepower, I couldn't imagine what this thing would do with 6. But let's take the Baja Warrior out for a rip and see how that thing does. Alright, finally time to take the Baja Warrior out for a rip. See how this thing does. I just had it pulled outside, warming up a little bit. This thing is still a little finicky with the new carb, untuned and all that. But curious if it'll rip and actually drive. Right now, in its current state, worst case, I'll mess with the carb a little bit more off camera. And then we can actually do some good pulls with it. But I want to drip it around because just been working on it. So it's finally time to see what this thing could do. Brakes. Alright, we got brakes. Oh, alright. Okay. Oh, wow. This thing kind of rips, though. This thing got some good low end. Alright. Damn. Okay. I love these frames as a solid cruiser. Just such a nice, look at that. No hands. With really bad tires on the back, too. Crazy. God damn, we got some torque though, that's for sure. Woo! Jesus. Definitely a little rattly, but not bad, not bad. Brakes work. They're alright. They're not perfect, but they work. At least there's something. Oh god damn. Alright. Oh. I'll let this car pass by and then we'll do a little top speed run. Oh, alright, they pulled in, we're good. Let's reset this from the little mini bike. Oh, there we go. We got 0 miles per hour. Put that in my pocket. That's the sender. I don't know why this thing sounds like it wants to blow up, but 31.6. Not too bad, not too bad. Definitely a little slower with having the whole dual gear thing, but it's a good little cruiser. I might rip it around the block a few times off camera just to break her in, but she's a good little ripper. Hell yeah. So I'm on the little mini bike. I got my buddy Vince on the Baja Warrior. So we're gonna try and do a drag race against the two. Oh yeah, she got the specs. Want to do a drag race between the two, see which one's quicker. I already know this one's got a slow takeoff, but it might have a higher top speed. We'll see. No brakes is not fun, but good? Yeah, just be careful. Alright. Good? 3, 2, 1, go! Motherfucker! Ah, you bitch! Oh. If this one had better takeoff, it would be good mash. The takeoff is shit. Oh, she's starting to run a little weird. I don't think she liked that pull. Starting to run a little weird again. Clear out. Hey, this thing's a ripper. Alright, time to bring him back to the crib. I think we're done for tonight. About to get dark out. And just like that, it is now dark outside after taking like a 30-minute break. And my buddy Vince that did the drag race with me ended up sliding home. If you guys are curious, he's the one that actually owns this purple quad that's actually sitting in the background. You guys might see he's just storing it here in the meantime. But other than that, we got both of the mini bikes pulled back in the garage. I'm pretty stoked on how these things came out. Was not expecting to get both of these running and driving in today's video, but we did, and they both are some rippers. That little 3 horsepower definitely underestimated itself, so I'm pretty stoked on that. But other than that, I don't really plan on keeping this bike here. I think I talked about it in the beginning of today's video, but I kind of just really bought this to get it fixed up and to sell it so I can basically make my money back from buying these two. And I already been talking to my pops, and he is possibly interested in buying this thing. And I already told him that it needs a few things, so you guys might see this thing back on the channel. If he ends up buying it, we're gonna get some new tires slapped up on it, maybe a clutch, maybe just clean up some things, get these stickers off, and just make it look a little bit nicer and more his kind of style. But this little mini bike here is actually going to be the one bike I want to keep. This is kind of the whole reason I bought the two, because I've always wanted to build one of these small little bikes. And after feeling what this little 3 horsepower has to do with it, I might tune this thing up a little bit and just see what we can get out of it and see how fast it can rip, because I think we almost did 30 miles per hour today. Really just needs a seat and some brakes, and this thing would be a solid little ripper. So I might just order those parts up before we end up actually swapping the motor. So that's kind of the whole goal with this thing, is to make it just like a wheelie machine at the end of the day, because I want to learn some wheelies on it. So I might learn some wheelies with the 3 horsepower just to kind of get a good feel for it, and then I can swap on a 6.5 horsepower 212 or something with some little goodies and stuff to make it that little bit nicer, and then it would definitely be a crazy wheelie machine and fast as hell. So might be something to see in the future. If you guys want to see it a little bit sooner than later, let me know. But I am a little curious on the kind of gear ratio I should do with this thing, since I've seen a lot of guys do these little mini bike swaps with the 6 horsepower. I never knew what gearing to do. I'm trying to keep it more of a wheelie machine, but still rip. I think it's got like a 60 or 70 in the back and like a 10 on the front. So maybe do like a 50 in the back and like a 12 on the front motor or something in the future. But other than that, both bikes are running and driving again after being probably neglected for a couple months or so, but pretty happy about it, and not really much to do to them at the end of today's video. So I'm gonna call it here. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, hope you like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned for more content, and peace out.